Hi, it's James Wood here. We're just out on a little walk and we've not gone into the middle of nowhere. I'm just next to a road here and some houses over here, and we've got some cherry trees, so some hardwood trees, and you can see on the side of them here these really vibrant, bright chicken of the woods mushrooms. I am well chuffed to find these. These are a great edible for me, and they're substantial. Look how big these ones are. They will feed me for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. And what I'll probably do is chop them down, fry them up, and I use them through winter. I'll take them back out of the freezer after they've been frozen. So we've got a tree-bearing mushroom, chicken of the woods. So you can see, typically grows about 2 meters off the floor. You can find it much lower down and much higher, but I'd say anywhere between 1 and 2 meters, and it has this vibrant orange colour to it. Fantastic edible. It's called chicken of the woods because it has a really chickeny texture. Personally, I'd compare it more to the texture of corn than the texture of chicken. It doesn't quite have the ripped kind of fibriness of chicken. It's more spongy, more like corn, but corn can be used as a substitute of chicken, as can this one. Worth noting at this point, some people just do not process this very well in their stomachs. Some people will have a dicky tummy, some people will vomit from eating this mushroom. It's documented as being about 1 in 20 people. Personally, from the people I've met and the people I've talked to who've eaten this mushroom, I'd say it's much lower. Maybe 1 in 100 people, maybe less than that. But if you find it, I wouldn't let that hold you back. What I would do is I'd chop a little bit off, I'd fry that up, eat that little bit, and then just see how my tummy reacts that night. Like I say, these are so substantial in size, these mushrooms, that if you come across one and you just outright say, no, I'm not going to eat it, because I'm going to be one of those 1 in 20 people or 1 in 100 people, then you're really, really missing out. So it's worth trying it for you. If we take a look at it, we've got, cap, vibrant orange, going quite up the tree, comes out a bit like a shelf or a bracket, and it's bright orange. As it gets older, it'll start to go more pale in colour, and actually even when it's young, it typically is a little bit more paler towards the edge of the cap. The cap itself, so this whole mushroom here, can be absolutely massive. It can be up to 40 to 50 centimetres across when it's at full size. And also they can be heavily stacked. So you can see sometimes they're stacked on top of each other, which means they can weigh in a really serious weight. I've found these before growing at the base of an oak tree, so not off the floor, it was actually at the base, and it weighed in at something between 20 and 25 kilograms just with a single one. It was the most pristine one I had, and the struggle I had then was thinking of ways of cooking with it. And being able to store it through the year. So the thing I ended up doing with that one was dicing it up into squares, cooking it off with bacon, and then freezing it. And then anytime I wanted it, I just took it out, refried it, and it was good to go. It was really good. If we look on the underside, you'll see that it's got pores instead of gills, so it doesn't have gills that run down from the edge to the centre. It actually has like a spongy underside. And then when you rip it in half or break it in half, you'll see that it's got a chicken-like texture, and you'll see the fibres starting to come out of it. If I give it a squeeze when it's young, it'll ooze a bit of liquid, and when it starts to get old, to a point where I can't really eat it anymore, when I give it a good squeeze, it'll start to go to powder. So we want it to give out a little bit of liquid when we squeeze it. From a food point of view, like I say, a chicken substitute. One of my favourite things to do with this is probably to bread it. So a bit of egg, a bit of flour, panko breadcrumbs, and then fry it off almost like it's chicken, fried chicken, deep fried chicken. Fry it off like that, or you can bake it in the oven if you're feeling a bit more healthy. Really nice, substitute that. And if you rip it with your hands, you also keep the chickeny texture. Otherwise, I do it with bacon. But any recipe that calls for corn, really, I think you could substitute this for. Fantastic edible, and a really, really good one for finding. I did once try and make paper out of this mushroom because I use a lot of polypore mushrooms for making paper. And I tried it with this one, but the fibre in it just isn't thread-like enough to make a strong piece of paper. So it will work, it'll make a really weak piece of paper. There's potential that could be used for things like sushi, maybe along those kind of lines, but that's not something I tried. I was trying to make a regular sheet of paper at that point. Yeah, so that's one you'll come across quite a lot out in the wild. I'd always walk around. It specifically grows on oak trees, and when I see an oak tree or one that's got damage, I'd always walk all the way around it because the potential that the chicken of the woods, this mushroom, could be on the other side of the tree. And if I only walk past one side, I'm missing 50% of potential habitat for it. If we take a quick look at things this could be confused with, from a personal point of view, I'd be amazed if you confuse this with anything. It's just so vibrant in colour. But there is a couple of mushrooms. So you've got one called Dyer's Mazegill, which has a much more velvety surface. Actually, the cap, the top of it, feels completely velvet-like, and is almost a luminous yellow inside. And actually, once you cook that, you'll see all this yellow liquid coming out of it. It's called Dyer's Mazegill because it's used for dyeing fabric and dyes it the most amazing yellow orange colour. And then we've got the other one. The last one's called Giant Polypore, and that actually typically grows at the base of trees, or if there's been a tree lopped down, it'll grow at the base there. Giant polypores get absolutely massive really quick, and the key for checking the difference between chicken of the woods and giant polypore, as soon as giant polypore is damaged, so either run my finger across the base or cut it, or just even if I just flicked it or something like that, it starts to damage a black colour, which chicken of the woods doesn't do. I'm not sure about Dyer's Mazegill edibility. I think it'd be very bitter. I don't think it'd be toxic. Giant polypore is edible. I've heard a lot of people having enjoyment out of that. The bits I usually eat are just the very edges of giant polypore. It gets really fibrous and tough quite quickly. But apart from those two, you've got chicken in the woods up here, a fantastic edible.